The red light of sunset painted the Atacama Desert in warm hues as Alina Reyes adjusted the parameters on her quantum receiver array one last time before ending her shift at the Deep Space Listening Station. The vast installation of gleaming dishes and sensors stood stark against the desert landscape, collecting whispers from the stars that humans have been monitoring for decades without notable success until today. Alina rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the readout that refused to disappear from her screen. Unlike the hundreds of false positives she had cataloged over her 7-year career, this signal maintained its coherence across multiple frequencies and responded to standard decryption protocols in ways that defied random cosmic noise. 22 minutes past midnight on February 13, 2087, humanity received its first confirmed extraterrestrial communication. The next 3 months transformed the listening station into the center of global attention as linguists, mathematicians, and physicists worked around the clock to decode the alien transmission. Alina barely slept, subsisting on synthetic coffee and determination, her small apartment at the facility forgotten as she moved a cot into her lab, the message becoming her obsession. The breakthrough came during hour 72 of a decryption sequence, when the pattern suddenly aligned into a simple 3-word message: prepare for assessment. 6 days later, orbital sensors detected 3 massive objects materializing at the edge of the solar system beyond Neptune. Their sudden appearance defied known physics, as they had not approached from deeper space, but simply appeared as if stepping through an invisible door. News agencies across Earth, Mars, and the orbital habitats exploded with speculation, fear, and excitement as humanity confronted the reality that they were no longer alone. Admiral Wei Chen watched the approaching vessels from the orbital defense platform Sentinel with narrowed eyes. The seasoned commander had survived 3 solar system conflicts and possessed instincts honed through decades of military service. Something about the perfect formation of the alien ships triggered a sense of unease that he could not dismiss. The visitors identified themselves as representatives of the Valhari Dominion, masters of 70% of the Milky Way galaxy air communication systems, effortlessly piercing human encryption as if it were no barrier at all. Their message was diplomatic, inviting cultural exchange and offering technological insights in exchange for studying human civilization. The first images of the Valhari stunned xenobiologists across Earth. The aliens stood nearly 3 meters tall with iridescent exoskeletons that shifted colors with their moods and 6 limbs that moved with hypnotic grace. Their ships dwarfed the largest human vessels, with smooth obsidian surfaces that absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them, suggesting defensive capabilities far beyond anything in human arsenals. Chen assembled his advisory team in the secure conference room aboard Sentinel as the alien delegation prepared for their first direct meeting with human representatives. "We show strength through welcome, not fear," he told the assembled military and diplomatic personnel, his calm voice belying the strategic calculations running through his mind. "I want our guests to see humanity at its best. While we prepare for the worst, activate Protocol Shadow Shield quietly, no visible military escalation. But I want every defensive system at 40-second readiness." The first meeting occurred in the neutral space of Armstrong Station, orbiting the Moon, a historic location chosen to showcase human achievement. Ambassador Excel Thorin of the Valhari entered with an entourage of advisors, their movements precise and synchronized in ways that suggested both military discipline and cultural formality. Admiral Chen stepped forward with a warm smile, extending his hand in the ancient human gesture of peaceful greeting, while being careful not to display teeth, which synopsicologists suggested might be interpreted as aggression. The Valhari seemed momentarily confused by the confidence of the humans, their upper limbs twitching in what intelligence officers later identified as surprise. "Welcome to the solar system," Ambassador Thorin said. "Chen, we have prepared tours of Earth, Mars, and our orbital habitats to share the full spectrum of human achievement and diversity with our honored guests from the stars." The Valhari delegation exchanged glances, their exoskeletons shifting to deeper hues before Ambassador Thorin extended a limb in mirrored greeting. We expected a more primitive response to our arrival. Most species require time to adjust to their new position in the galactic order. Chen maintained his diplomatic smile, though his eyes hardened imperceptibly at the implied hierarchy. In the statement, humans adapt quickly, Ambassador, perhaps more quickly than you might anticipate. We look forward to finding our place among the stars as partners in this grand community. Over the following weeks, the Valhari toured human settlements, expressing interest in Earth history, cultural diversity, and technological development. They seemed particularly fascinated by human art, music, and philosophical debates. Concepts they claimed were uncommon among other species they had encountered. Elena Reyes joined the scientific exchange team, working closely with Valhari specialists to establish translation protocols and cultural understanding frameworks. Yet each night, she returned to her temporary quarters at the United Nations complex with a growing sense of disquiet. Something feels wrong, she told her colleague Jackson Harper one evening as they reviewed translation data in a secure room. The cybernetically enhanced intelligence officer nodded, his augmented eyes shifting spectrum as he analyzed the latest Valhari communications. They answer every question while telling us almost nothing, he agreed, his enhanced memory recalling every interaction with perfect clarity. They speak of integration and assessment, but never equality. I think Admiral Chen was right to activate Shadow Shield. Beneath the surface of diplomatic pleasantries, a clock had begun ticking toward a confrontation neither species had truly anticipated. 6 months into the cultural exchange program, Captain Jackson Harper stood beside Dr. Elena Reyes in her laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays of Valhari transmission data. The room bathed in the blue glow of quantum analyzers that hummed softly in the background. Elena had been working 18-hour days for weeks, convinced that something hidden lurked within the aliens' communications. Look at this pattern, Harper, she said, pointing to a repeating sequence that pulsed beneath the primary data stream. Normal quantum communication doesn't create these harmonics. It's almost like a secondary channel. Harper finished, his cybernetic eyes shifting through spectrum ranges that normal humans couldn't perceive. The neural enhancements from his battlefield injuries, giving him unique insights into data patterns. I think you found their private conversation, Elena. They worked through the night, Elena writing custom decryption algorithms, while Harper applied military-grade pattern recognition software to the mysterious signals, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to make adjustments at superhuman speed. As dawn broke over the new Santiago research complex, the first translated fragments appeared on their secure terminal. The human show concerning adaptability. Read one message: resource extraction efficiency exceeds predictions, cognitive flexibility presents integration challenges. Harper and Elena exchanged troubled glances as more fragments assembled themselves into coherent intelligence, their suspicions confirmed with each new translation. The Valhari were not allies, they were evaluators determining how best to subjugate humanity. Assessment phase concluding. Read a particularly disturbing message dated 3 days earlier. Yellowstone implementation authorized, projected casualties acceptable, integration parameters optimal. Elena gasped, her hands trembling as she pulled up geological survey data from Yellowstone National Park. The ancient supervolcano had shown increased activity over the past month, activity that scientists had attributed to natural cycles, but the timing aligned perfectly with Valhari survey missions to the region. They planned to trigger an eruption, Harper whispered, the realization striking him with physical force, his military training immediately calculating the catastrophic global impact. Ash clouds blocking the sun for years, worldwide crop failures, billions dead, and the survivors desperate for aid the Valhari would graciously provide in exchange for submission. We need to alert Admiral Chen immediately. The diplomatic dinner at the restored United Nations building in Geneva provided the perfect cover for an emergency meeting. Chen listened gravely as Harper and Elena presented their evidence in a secure room beneath the main hall, the Admiral's face remaining impassive, though his knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the holotable. How soon? Harper asked, his voice steady, despite the apocalyptic information they had uncovered. Seismic sensors show rapidly accelerating activity. Elena answered. The data indicates critical pressure buildup that's completely inconsistent with natural patterns, 3 days, maybe 4, before catastrophic eruption. Chen nodded once his decision already made. Arrange for Ambassador Excel Thorin to join us here privately. No staff, no records. 30 minutes later, the tall Valhari diplomat entered the secure room, his iridescent exoskeleton shifting between shades of blue and green as he registered the tense atmosphere, his 4 secondary limbs moving in subtle patterns that the humans had learned indicated curiosity. Admiral Chen, I was enjoying the remarkable Earth cuisine you call sushi when I received your urgent request, Excel Thorin said, his translation device rendering his clicking speech into smooth English. What matter requires such immediate attention? Chen activated the holographic display, showing the decrypted Valhari communications and the Yellowstone geological data. Without preamble, we know about your plans for Earth, Ambassador. The Valhari remained motionless for 3 full seconds, his exoskeleton suddenly flushing deep violet in what human xenobiologists had identified as surprise, before settling into a calm amber hue, his upper limbs making a gesture the translation system interpreted as resigned acknowledgement. Your species demonstrates troubling potential, Ambassador Thorin finally responded. Your adaptability under pressure, your resourcefulness with limited technology, your unpredictable creativity when threatened. The Dominion cannot permit another evolutionary competitor. Guided catastrophe offers the most humane solution. Elena stepped forward, unable to contain her outrage. Humane? You call planetary genocide humane? The Valhari tilted his head in what human cultural specialists had concluded was their equivalent of a shrug. Your species would survive under our protection and guidance. The most promising specimens would thrive as productive members of the Dominion. We have performed similar integrations across 17 star systems with acceptable outcomes. The casual admission stunned the humans into momentary silence before Harper spoke, his augmented voice unnaturally steady. How did you trigger the geological instability? A simple matter of resonance devices, Thorin replied, seemingly relieved to discuss technical matters rather than moral questions. Quantum harmonic generators placed at strategic fault lines. The eruption process has already begun and cannot be reversed. I suggest you use your remaining time to prepare your people for transition to Dominion governance. Chen stepped closer to the Valhari, his eyes reflecting a dangerous calm that Harper recognized from battlefield situations when the Admiral had made lethal decisions. Thank you for your honesty, Ambassador. It will be noted in historical records. As Harper and Elena raced from the secure facility to alert global authorities, the first significant tremors shook Yellowstone Park. Tourists evacuated in confusion as geysers erupted with unprecedented force, and previously dormant thermal features suddenly sprang to violent life. In the Planetary Defense Center beneath Mount Fuji, Chen gathered Earth military and scientific leadership. Holographic displays showing cascading seismic activity spreading outward from Yellowstone like ripples in a pond. Major population centers worldwide began emergency preparations as the scope of the threat became clear. We have 3 days maximum before eruption, Elena reported, her voice strained with exhaustion. After 36 hours without sleep, conventional containment is impossible. The pressure buildup exceeds anything in geological records. So we don't try to stop it, Chen said, causing everyone in the command center to stare at him in shock. We redirect it. Harper watched, understanding dawning on his enhanced neural network as the Admiral outlined humanity most desperate and creative defense plan. If we can't prevent the eruption, we weaponize it. Throughout human history, Chen continued, our species has survived by turning disasters into opportunities. Our backs are against the wall, but that is when humans become most dangerous. The Valhari expect us to beg for mercy. Instead, we will show them the cost of underestimating Earth. The Emergency War Council convened in an underground facility beneath Geneva as holographic displays showed the steadily worsening situation at Yellowstone. Military leaders from every major Earth power watched grimly as simulation after simulation confirmed conventional weapons would be useless against Valhari defenses. Their shields operated on quantum principles that repelled all known human armaments without registering even minimal stress. "We cannot match their technology," directly Admiral Chen addressed the assembled leaders, his calm voice belying the desperation of their situation. "But humans have always excelled at finding unexpected solutions." Dr. May Lakshmi stepped forward from the scientific contingent, her small frame appearing almost fragile next to the uniformed military officers, yet her presence immediately commanded attention. The quantum physicist had pioneered theories considered too unconventional by mainstream science, until recent breakthroughs vindicated her approach. They developed their shields along vertical quantum integration pathways, she explained, activating a holographic model that displayed complex mathematical structures. While we pursued horizontal applications, their defensive systems are perfect against conventional attacks, but vulnerable to lateral quantum disruption. The assembled leaders exchanged skeptical glances as Lakshmi continued undeterred. "I developed a medical device to treat quantum entanglement disorders in neural tissue," she said, gesturing to a small cylindrical object hovering in the holographic display. "With modifications, it could theoretically desynchronize their shield harmonics, creating a brief but exploitable vulnerability." "How brief?" Captain Harper asked, his enhanced mind already calculating tactical possibilities. 8.3 seconds. Lakshmi replied, "Enough time to launch an effective counterstrike, if perfectly coordinated." "The catch?" Colonel Garcia of the Pan American Defense Force interjected. "There is always a catch. The device must be activated from within their command ship," Lakshmi confirmed, "at a specific junction in their shield generation system." The room fell silent as the implications became clear. A suicide mission requiring manual placement inside the most heavily defended Valhari vessel, impossible by any reasonable standard. "I volunteer," Harper said without hesitation, the room turning toward the cybernetically enhanced intelligence officer. "We have experimental stealth technology, adapted from deep-sea bioluminescence research. If anyone can get aboard their ship undetected, it's me." Chen nodded, accepting the offer without surprise. He had known Harper would step forward. The captain had always placed mission above survival. "How soon can we deploy?" 72 hours. Lakshmi answered. "The science and engineering teams are already working." "Meanwhile, Dar-Rays has a proposal for our planetary defense," Chen continued, gesturing for Elena to address the council. She activated a new holographic display showing Yellowstone and the surrounding geothermal network. "We cannot prevent the eruption," she explained, "but we can channel it. The Valhari expected the supervolcano to cripple us. Instead, we will convert its electromagnetic discharge into a weapon targeted specifically at their shield frequencies." The next 72 hours transformed Earth into a planet preparing for both apocalypse and war. Manufacturing facilities worldwide shifted to producing components with a quantum desynchronizer and adapting geothermal power plants, while evacuation protocols moved millions of civilians from vulnerable areas near Yellowstone. Harper stood on the launch deck of the orbital defense platform Sentinel, watching his unconventional fleet assemble a collection of retrofitted mining vessels, research platforms, and military ships that would appear disorganized and primitive to Valhari sensors, the perfect cover for his infiltration mission. Elena joined him on the observation deck, her eyes reflecting the lights of the assembling ships. "Promise me you'll try to come back," she said, breaking protocol by taking his hand. Harper smiled, the cybernetic implants around his eyes glinting in the starlight. "I always try. It's the universe that rarely cooperates." Aboard his command vessel designated Shadow 12, Harper addressed the fleet commanders via secure holographic link. "Our mission is straightforward," he explained, though his tone made clear its deadly reality. "We engage the Valhari ships in what appears to be a desperate last stand, providing cover for my infiltration team. Once inside, we deploy the desynchronizer, creating an 8-second window for our weapons to breach their defenses." Lieutenant Commander Alvarez of Tactical Operations raised the question everyone was considering: what if the desynchronizer fails? Then humanity takes its place as another subjugated species, Harper answered honestly, and we hope our descendants eventually find another way to freedom. The fleet launched from Earth orbit on the third day as seismic activity at Yellowstone reached critical levels. The ground throughout North America trembling continuously as magma chambers expanded beneath the surface. Darius coordinated final adjustments to the geothermal network that now surrounded the supervolcano, ready to channel its destructive power in a precisely targeted direction. Admiral Chen watched from the Planetary Defense Center as Harper's fleet approached the three Valhari vessels, hovering in high Earth orbit, their black obsidian hulls absorbing sunlight like cosmic predators waiting to strike. The Valhari communication system activated Admiral XL Thorin, appearing on the command center's main screen, his iridescent exoskeleton shifting to colors suggesting amusement. "Your primitive vessels pose no threat to the Dominion," Thorin stated. "Your resistance merely delays the inevitable. We have witnessed countless species attempt similar futile gestures." Chen allowed himself a small smile, surprising the alien diplomat with his calm demeanor. "We humans have a saying: ambassador appearances can be deceiving." The Valhari ships activated their weapon systems, easily destroying the first wave of Earth vessels, their superior targeting systems cutting through human defenses with contemptuous ease. Yet they failed to notice the small stealth shuttle that detached from Shadow 12 during the initial exchange, its experimental camouflage bending light around its hull, rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. Harper guided the shuttle toward the largest Valhari vessel, the flagship of their small fleet, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to navigate the chaotic battlefield with precision, while Lakshmi monitored the quantum desynchronizer, its delicate components requiring constant adjustment to remain viable. Below them, Earth trembled on the edge of catastrophe as Yellowstone prepared to unleash destruction beyond anything in recorded human history. The Valhari, confident their integration plan proceeded exactly as designed. What they failed to understand was that humans had just begun to fight the Valhari flagship, gleamed like polished obsidian against the backdrop of Earth, its massive hull dwarfing even the largest human vessels. As Harper guided his stealth shuttle toward a maintenance access port, his neural enhancements processing tactical data at superhuman speed, calculating approach vectors that would minimize detection probability. Earth vessels continued their seemingly futile attack, drawing Valhari attention. While suffering devastating losses, their sacrifice creating the diversion, Harper needed his shuttle sliding into position alongside the alien vessel, its adaptive camouflage mimicking the flagship's exterior perfectly. The temperature dropped as Harper activated his infiltration suit, the experimental stealth technology, incorporating elements adapted from deep-sea creatures capable of manipulating light and electromagnetic fields. The airlock cycled silently as he pushed off from the shuttle, drifting the final meters to the Valhari ship, manually overriding the exterior access panel, using protocols extracted from previously intercepted communications. Inside the massive vessel, Harper moved with practiced precision, his enhanced vision adapting to the purple-tinged lighting that filled the alien corridors, the architecture strangely organic with passages that curved and branched in patterns suggesting biological growth rather than engineered design. The quantum desynchronizer hummed softly in its specialized container strapped to Harper's back, the device requiring constant monitoring to prevent premature activation. As he navigated deeper into the ship following Lakshmi's calculations toward the central shield generation nexus, Harper froze as voices approached, ducking into a recessed alcove as two Valhari engineers passed, discussing shield modifications in their clicking language, his translation implant capturing fragments about energy recalibration to better withstand primitive human weapons. Once they passed, Harper continued his journey deeper into the ship, encountering an unexpected sight that stopped him mid-stride, a vast chamber filled with alien beings of various species working at control stations under Valhari supervision, their movements suggesting not willing cooperation but enforced servitude. One worker, a reptilian being with iridescent scales, noticed Harper before he could retreat, their eyes widening in recognition, not of Harper personally, but of what his presence represented. The being made a subtle gesture indicating a service passage to the right, offering help rather than raising alarm. Harper followed the silent guidance, slipping into the maintenance tunnel where the reptilian joined him moments later. "You are human," the alien whispered in surprisingly clear English, scales shifting color from green to blue with excitement. "I am Ziv of the Daxari, third-generation servant to the Dominion. Your presence here means resistance that was thought impossible." Harper nodded, confirming the alien's hope. "I need to reach the Shield Generation Nexus to deploy a weapon. Can you help me navigate?" Ziv's scales rippled with determination. "I have maintained those systems for 12 cycles. Follow me. But hurry." The Valharity celebrate what they believe is Earth's imminent submission. The shield systems are operating at peak capacity in preparation for the atmospheric destruction your world will experience. As they navigated the labyrinthine passages of the massive ship, Harper's neural implant received an encrypted update from Earth. Yellowstone's seismic activity had reached critical threshold. The supervolcano had begun its catastrophic eruption. On the planet's surface, massive plumes of ash and smoke billowed skyward as the ground split open, releasing pressurized magma that had built for centuries, the sky darkening as particulate matter spread through the upper atmosphere. The Valhari watched with satisfaction from their ships, believing their integration plan proceeded perfectly. What they failed to notice was Darius and her team working frantically at control stations throughout the geothermal network they had constructed surrounding Yellowstone, the eruption's vast electromagnetic energy being captured and channeled through specialized conduits, not prevented but redirected into the most powerful weapon humans had ever conceived. Inside the Valhari flagship, Harper and Ziv reached the Shield Generation Nexus, a cavernous chamber dominated by crystalline structures, pulsing with energy in patterns too complex for unaugmented human minds to comprehend. "This is it," Ziv confirmed, indicating a junction where multiple energy conduits converge. "The dimensional stabilizers maintain quantum lock from this point. Any disruption here will cascade through the entire system." Harper unstrapped the desynchronizer from his back, activating the final sequence, the device humming with increasing intensity as it prepared to deliver its precisely calibrated quantum disruption, when a door slid open, revealing 3 Valhari security officers, their weapons immediately targeting the intruders. Ziv leaped forward without hesitation, his maintenance tools becoming improvised weapons, as he bought Harper precious seconds to complete the desynchronizer's activation sequence, the human captain using every enhancement and combat skill at his disposal to defend the device as it reached final preparation stage. On Earth, the Yellowstone eruption reached its apocalyptic peak, ash clouds spreading across the continent. As magma flows devastated the surrounding regions, the Valhari ship's sensors registering the cataclysm with approval, their mission apparently successful. Ambassador XL Thorin contacted Admiral Chen, expecting to receive humanity's surrender, instead finding the Admiral watching the eruption with an unexpectedly calm expression. "Your resistance ends now," human Thorin declared, "as your planet tears itself apart. Accept Dominion protection and salvation, or watch your species perish in stubborn defiance." Chen smiled, a cold, calculating expression that momentarily unsettled the alien diplomat. "You made one critical mistake, Ambassador. You studied our weapons, our technology, our military capacity, but failed to understand our most fundamental quality." "What would that be?" Thorin asked with dismissive curiosity. "Humans transform disasters into opportunities," Chen answered, as Yellowstone's electromagnetic discharge suddenly changed pattern, focusing upward in a precisely targeted pulse that the Valhari sensors failed to properly interpret until it was too late. Aboard the flagship, Harper activated the desynchronizer at the exact moment Earth's electromagnetic weapon struck the Valhari vessels, the combined attack creating a vulnerability in systems designed to be impenetrable, the quantum fields that had protected the Dominion ships for millennia flickering as 2 technologies they had never encountered converged in perfect synchronization. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Valhari experienced something entirely unfamiliar: fear. The quantum desynchronizer pulsed with blinding energy as it interfaced with the Valhari shield generators, cascading disruptions spreading throughout the alien vessel with effects far exceeding Driver Lakshmi's most optimistic projection systems that had operated flawlessly for centuries, suddenly struggled to maintain basic functions as contradictory quantum states propagated through their perfectly synchronized network. Harper braced himself against a crystalline control panel as the massive ship shuddered around him, emergency lighting flickering as primary power systems failed. Ziv, the Daxari engineer, looked on with undisguised awe, his scales shifting to bright gold in what Harper's cultural briefing identified as expressions of shock and wonder. The device worked beyond all projections. Ziv whispered, "The Valhari have never experienced shield failure. This is unprecedented." On the flagship's command deck, Ambassador Excel Thorin struggled to comprehend the cascade of system failures overwhelming his vessel's adaptive protocols, the quantum fields that had protected Dominion ships against all known weapons for millennia suddenly destabilizing in patterns their most advanced diagnostics could not explain. "Status report," the ambassador demanded, his exoskeleton flushing dark crimson with rage and confusion. "Shields failing throughout all vessels' systems, experiencing catastrophic quantum desynchronization," the tactical officer responded, their normally confident tone replaced with undisguised panic. "We have detected an energy pulse from the planet synchronized with an internal disruption source originating near Shield Nexus 3. "Impossible," Thorin hissed. "The humans lack the technology for quantum manipulation on this scale." Admiral Chen watched from Earth's command center as the Valhari vessels suddenly became visible to their targeting systems for the first time, their previously impenetrable shields flickering like dying lights. "All Earth defense platforms fire," Chen ordered, his voice steady with the calm of a commander who had prepared for this precise moment. Hastily retrofitted mining lasers, originally designed to cut through asteroid material, fired in perfect synchronization, their targeting systems, guided by astronomical observatory arrays, repurposed for warfare, their combined energy striking the vulnerable Valhari ships with unprecedented precision. Inside the flagship, Harper seized the moment of confusion to access a nearby control terminal, his neural implants interfacing with the alien technology through protocols data arrays had developed based on intercepted Valhari communications. "What are you doing?" Ziv asked, watching as Harper's augmented fingers moved across the interface with inhuman speed. "Taking control of navigation systems," Harper explained, activating dormant subsystems throughout the vessel. "Alert your people, we're about to free everyone aboard." The news spread rapidly through the hidden networks of subjugated species aboard the Valhari ships. Beings from dozens of worlds who had served the Dominion for generations suddenly found hope in the unprecedented chaos as security systems failed and containment protocols collapsed. Ambassador Thorin watched in disbelief as his carefully orchestrated invasion disintegrated around him. Human vessels that should have been easily destroyed were now targeting his vulnerable ships with weapons that suddenly could penetrate their defenses, while internal reports indicated spreading rebellion among the servant species throughout the fleet. "How is this possible?" he demanded, opening a direct communication to Admiral Chen, his exoskeleton now pulsing with colors indicating extreme distress. Chen's calm expression filled the view screen, his steady gaze meeting the Valhari diplomat's compound eyes with unwavering confidence. "You studied us as warriors and cataloged our weapons, Ambassador, but failed to recognize that humans transform their greatest disasters into opportunities." On Earth, the supervolcano continued its devastating eruption, ash clouds spreading across North America as magma flows reshaped the landscape. Yet the worst apocalyptic predictions failed to materialize as Darvaray's geothermal network channeled significant portions of the eruption's energy into the targeted electromagnetic pulse, striking the Valhari fleet, the planet wounded but not defeated. Harper coordinated with Earth Command from his newly accessed terminal inside the flagship, directing the liberated servant species to secure critical systems throughout the vessel, Ziv proving invaluable as he guided his fellow Daxari and other species through the complex process of disabling remaining Valhari control mechanisms. The Dominion's other ships attempted to coordinate defensive measures, but centuries of uncontested superiority had left them unprepared for actual combat, their commanders falling into disarray without clear protocols for responding to such an unprecedented situation. Ambassador Thorin ordered immediate retreat, abandoning their integration mission as the human counterattack continued to gain momentum. The surviving Valhari vessels attempting to activate their faster-than-light drives only to discover those systems compromised by the cascading quantum disruption. "This cannot be happening," the ambassador murmured, his worldview crumbling as he watched lesser primitives defeat technology that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. From his commandeered control station, Harper sent a message to Admiral Chen. "The flagship is secured. Approximately 40% of systems under our control, including basic navigation and weapons. The other Valhari vessels appear to be attempting retreat." Chen nodded with grim satisfaction. For the first time in recorded history, the seemingly invincible Dominion had faced defeat. Their careful plans for subjugating Earth transformed into a devastating setback. "We have accomplished what they thought impossible, Captain. Well done." Earth's victory came with tremendous cost. Despite the geothermal network's success in redirecting much of Yellowstone's fury, significant portions of North America lay devastated beneath ash and magma, millions displaced from their homes as environmental systems worldwide struggled to adapt to the sudden atmospheric changes. Yet amid the destruction, a remarkable human resilience emerged. Evacuation protocols executed with unprecedented efficiency as global cooperation reached levels previously thought impossible. In the face of alien threat, old national rivalries disappeared, replaced by unified human purpose. The captured Valhari flagship descended into Earth orbit under Harper's control, its massive hull bearing the scars of humanity's desperate defense. The vessel containing technologies beyond human development, and more importantly, star charts detailing the Dominion's territory, weapon schematics, and information about dozens of species who might become allies against their common oppressor. In the Planetary Defense Center, Dr. Reyes examined the preliminary data from the captured ship, her exhausted face brightening as she realized the implications. "They never expected to lose," she told Admiral Chen. "Their databases contain everything: their complete command structures, defensive capabilities, colony locations, and the coordinates of their homeworld." Harper added, his voice transmitting from the flagship. "This is just the beginning." 1 year after the Valhari attack, Earth presented a study in contrasts. Regions devastated by Yellowstone still struggled beneath ash and environmental disruption, while others showcased remarkable recovery, accelerated by adapted alien technology. Vast reconstruction projects transformed disaster zones with unprecedented speed as reverse-engineered Valhari systems enabled atmospheric scrubbing and rapid infrastructure deployment. The captured flagship, now designated Earth-ship Defiance, had become humanity's most valuable asset, its vast database providing insights into Dominion technology, military capabilities, and galactic political structures. Teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock to understand and adapt the advanced systems for human use. Admiral Chen stood before the newly formed Global Recovery Council in their underground headquarters beneath the restored United Nations complex in Geneva. Holographic displays showing the progress of technological integration and space defense preparations. "We cannot afford to wait for the next Valhari attack," Chen argued, projecting simulations of improved Dominion forces returning to finish what they started. "History teaches us that waiting for aggressors to regroup guarantees they will return stronger and more determined." Instead, Chen proposed an audacious planned construction of a small but advanced fleet using reverse-engineered Valhari drive systems combined with uniquely human innovations, enabling Earth to take the initiative and seek allies among other species oppressed by the Dominion. Captain Harper, now bearing both physical and cybernetic scars from his mission aboard the Valhari vessel, stood at attention beside Dr. Reyes as they received their new assignment to lead humanity's first diplomatic mission beyond the solar system. "You two have the most experience with non-human species and understand the Dominion better than anyone," Shen explained. "Your mission is straightforward: find potential allies among those who have suffered under Valhari rule." The Defiance underwent extensive modifications to accommodate human crew requirements and incorporate Earth defensive innovations 2 months after Chen's proposal, the vessel departed the solar system, its hybrid drive systems, enabling faster-than-light travel through methods humanity had only theorized about before the alien encounter. Harper commanded from the bridge his enhanced neural systems, now fully integrated with the ship's control interfaces, while Dar-Reyes led the diplomatic team, their first destination the homeworld of the Daxari Ziv's people, who had provided crucial assistance during the battle for Earth. Initial contacts with potential allies proved challenging across dozens of worlds. The Valhari had spread propaganda portraying humans as violent savages who had somehow gotten lucky against the benevolent Dominion peacekeepers. Suspicion greeted the Earth delegation at every port. The Daxari homeworld Shaktis V orbited a yellow dwarf star in a system heavily monitored by Dominion sensor arrays the planet's surface, showing extensive mining operations that had scared once vibrant ecosystems. Harper employed stealth technology, adapted from their successful infiltration of the Valhari flagship, to avoid detection as they established contact with resistance elements. Ziv, who had chosen to remain with the humans, served as cultural interpreter, explaining Daxari customs and hierarchy to the Earth delegation. The reptilian engineer had become something of a celebrity among his people. News of his role in defeating a Valhari vessel spreading through hidden communication networks despite Dominion censorship. After proving their identity and intentions to suspicious Daxari resistance leaders, Harper and Rice presented evidence of Earth's successful defense and the vulnerability they had discovered in Valhari technology. The meeting lasted 12 hours as centuries of conditioned subservience warred with newfound hope. "We have adapted to survive under Dominion rule for generations," the Daxari elder named Sheth explained, his scales shifting between cautious blue and hopeful gold. "What you propose would require us to abandon safety for dangerous defiance." Harper nodded in understanding, showing respect for their caution. "I cannot promise victory or safety." He acknowledged only the opportunity to fight for freedom, rather than accepting eternal servitude. 2 days later, the Daxari leadership made their decision, becoming humanity's first galactic allies, bringing their expertise in biological engineering and stealth technology, developed through centuries of quiet resistance. The diplomatic mission continued gaining momentum. As word spread through clandestine networks, the Earth ship Defiance visited system after system, collecting both allies and intelligence. Harper and Rice refined their approach with each contact, learning to address the specific concerns and cultural contexts of each potential partner. The Ellis, a species of brilliant cyberneticists whose crystalline homeworlds had been stripped for resources, joined the Alliance after witnessing demonstrations of human adaptive programming techniques that complemented their own technological approaches, their expertise in communications and system infiltration adding crucial capabilities to the growing coalition. Most surprising was contact with the Vox energy-based entities who had hidden within gas giants across multiple systems for centuries, evading Dominion detection through their natural ability to exist in states difficult for Valhari sensors to identify their representative. A swirling mass of coherent plasma named Thalys initially appeared aboard the Defiance without warning, materializing in the diplomatic chamber during a planning session. "You seek allies against the ancient oppressor," Thalys communicated directly into the minds of the startled Earth delegation. "We have watched and waited for such an opportunity since the time of our ancestors." Dr. Lakshmi, who had joined the diplomatic mission to explain the quantum desynchronizer technology, found unexpected synergy with the Vox energy manipulation abilities. Combining their natural capabilities with human quantum science created theoretical frameworks for weapons capable of bypassing Valhari defenses at greater range and effectiveness than their original breakthrough. Each new species brought unique perspectives and capabilities to the Alliance, but what truly bound them together transcended tactical advantages. They created history's first genuine galactic partnership based on mutual respect rather than domination, a concept the hierarchical Valhari could neither comprehend nor effectively counter. As the Alliance grew, intelligence reports indicated increasing panic within Dominion leadership. The unthinkable had occurred. Not only had humans successfully resisted integration, but they were now uniting species that had been carefully kept separate and controlled for millennia. In a secure communication to Admiral Chen, Harper summarized their diplomatic progress while projecting coordinates for their next and most audacious mission. "The Alliance is ready," he reported. "We have the technology, the intelligence, and the determination to strike at the heart of Dominion power, Valhari Prime." The Alliance fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edges of the Valhari home system, the armada of diverse vessels representing the unified efforts of 7 formerly subjugated species Earth ships formed the central coordination element, their distinctive profiles marked by hybrid technology, combining human innovation with adapted alien systems. Valhari Prime dominated the viewscreen on the Defiance Bridge, a gleaming world of towering crystalline cities and orbital installations that had remained unchallenged for millennia, the heart of a dominion that controlled 70% of the galaxy through forced technological superiority and carefully cultivated fear. Captain Harper stood at the command station, his enhanced neural interfaces processing tactical data from across the fleet. While coordinating with representatives of each allied species, the battle plan reflected humanity's unique approach to warfare, emphasizing adaptability, decentralized decision-making, and unexpected tactical shifts rather than rigid hierarchical control. The Dominion defense fleet vastly outnumbered the Alliance vessels, thousands of Valhari warships arranged in mathematically perfect formations, their quantum shields upgraded following the Earth encounter to prevent similar vulnerabilities, a display of overwhelming force designed to crush any resistance before it began. "Valhari High Command expects us to replicate our Earth tactics," Harper explained during the final briefing. "Instead, we will implement Spectrum Protocol, leveraging the unique capabilities of each species in combinations they cannot anticipate." The Alliance attack began with apparent disorder, ships moving in seemingly random patterns that confused Valhari tactical systems programmed to recognize conventional formation-based strategies, the Dominion commanders responding with textbook maneuvers that had subdued countless rebellions throughout their long history. What appeared chaotic actually followed complex algorithms developed by human game theorists working with Ellis cyberneticists, each apparent vulnerability concealing a trap, each retreat masking an advance, as the Alliance forces implemented combination tactics no single species would have developed alone. Daxari cloaking technology, synchronized with human quantum disruption, concealed strike teams targeting communication nodes, while Ellis cyber intrusions paired with Vox energy manipulation created sensor ghosts that drew Valhari fire away from actual Alliance vessels, the Dominion fleet commanders growing increasingly confused as their perfect formations fragmented against an enemy that refused to behave according to historical patterns. Aboard the Dominion command station, Arkan Zar Thelos, the supreme military leader of the Valhari, watched with mounting concern as battle simulations failed to predict Alliance movements, his exoskeleton shifting to anxious purple hues. "They fight like no opponent in our records," he observed as another formation broke against seemingly inferior forces. "The humans coordinate without centralizing, they adapt without planning. These tactics defy strategic logic." Deep within the heart of the battle, Harper directed a specialized strike team, including Dar-Ray's representatives from each allied species, and a contingent of Earth's most elite soldiers, their target the Dominion Central Archive, a vast installation orbiting Valhari Prime, containing the accumulated knowledge of thousands of conquered civilizations. The infiltration vessel employed multiple layered stealth systems, making it virtually undetectable amid the chaos of battle. Harper's experience from the first Valhari encounter proving invaluable as they navigated defensive grids designed to prevent exactly such an intrusion. The Central Archive loomed before them, a massive structure of interlocking crystalline components housing data storage systems, beyond human comprehension, the repository of all knowledge the Dominion had accumulated, harvested, and in many cases suppressed throughout its long history of conquest. Docking with the archive required precision timing, as Harper synchronized their approach with a coordinated series of Alliance attacks that drew defensive resources away from their target. The infiltration team boarding through maintenance access points identified from intelligence gathered during previous encounters with Valhari technology. Inside the archive, Harper Rice, and their multispecies team moved with practiced coordination, each member contributing specialized knowledge as they navigated the labyrinthine structure toward its secured central core, where the most valuable and restricted information was stored. "We have 14 minutes before security systems adapt to our presence," Kivex, the Ellis cyberneticist, warned as they approached the final security barrier using crystalline appendages to interface with Valhari systems. The central vault revealed itself as massive doors slid open, exposing a chamber filled with advanced data crystals, pulsing with stored information beyond anything in human experience. Reyes immediately began accessing the central interface, her linguistics expertise combined with technical knowledge gained over the past year, allowing her to navigate the alien cataloging system. What she discovered stunned the entire team. The Valhari did develop their advanced technology, Reyes whispered as historical records filled surrounding holographic displays. They discovered it. They found the remains of an ancient species they call the Precursors, and instead of learning from them, they eradicated all traces and stole their technology. Further exploration of the archives revealed the Dominion's most carefully guarded secret. The Valhari had risen to power not through innovation, but through theft, discovering the technology of a far more advanced civilization, then systematically destroying all evidence of the original creators before using that technology to subjugate other developing species, preventing any from advancing to the point where they might threaten Valhari dominance. They maintained power by controlling information. Harper realized understanding flowing through his enhanced neural pathways. They deliberately stunted technological development across the galaxy, ensuring no species could follow the path they took. Using Alliance communication protocols enhanced by Vox energy transmission capabilities, the team broadcast this revelation throughout Valhari space, bypassing censorship systems that had maintained information control for centuries, the truth spreading to hundreds of subjugated worlds, igniting resistance movements that had simmered beneath generations of oppression. On the Dominion command station, Archon Thelos watched in horror as reports of planetary rebellions flooded in from across Valhari territory, the carefully maintained myth of their technological superiority crumbling before the simple truth they were not innovators, but thieves, not visionaries, but oppressors. The Dominion, facing simultaneous external attack and internal rebellion, activated emergency protocols, requesting immediate armistice negotiations before their entire empire collapsed around them. Harper received the surrender request with grim satisfaction as Alliance forces continued to hold their positions against the numerically superior but increasingly disorganized Valhari fleet. "Tell them we accept their surrender," he transmitted to the Archon. "But unlike the Dominion, we do not believe in subjugation. The terms will reflect a new approach to galactic relations, one based on cooperation rather than dominance." The battle for Valhari Prime became known throughout the galaxy as the Liberation, a moment when the seemingly invincible Dominion that had controlled space for thousands of years fell not merely to military defeat, but to a fundamental challenge to their entire system of power. In defeating the Valhari, humanity had introduced something entirely new to galactic politics, the radical concept that different species might cooperate as equals, rather than existing in hierarchies of conqueror and conquered. 5 years after humanity's first contact with alien life, the galaxy had transformed in ways no species could have predicted. The former Valhari Dominion now existed as the Galactic Alliance, a cooperative of autonomous worlds, where each member species governed their own affairs, while contributing to mutual advancement. Earth, once an isolated outpost at the galaxy's edge, had become the diplomatic nexus of this unprecedented interstellar community. Unity Station orbited Earth, its massive structure incorporating architectural elements from all 37 member species, a physical embodiment of the new galactic order, where representatives gathered to address shared challenges and opportunities without dominance or subjugation. The station's central garden dome featured plant life from across the galaxy, thriving together in carefully maintained harmony. Ambassador Jackson Harper, once Captain Harper, stood at the observation deck, overlooking Earth. The cybernetic enhancements that had once marked him as a wounded warrior, now commonplace as human and alien technologies merged in beneficial ways, his diplomatic uniform bearing subtle elements from each member species signifying respect for their contributions to the Alliance. Diver Elena Reyes joined him at the viewport, her position as Director of Precursor Knowledge Integration, making her one of the most influential humans in galactic affairs, the years of intensive work evident in the wisdom lines around her eyes, yet her expression retained the curiosity that had defined her since detecting the first Valhari signal. Who would have imagined this outcome when we first heard their transmission? She mused, watching shuttles from dozens of worlds moving between Earth and the station. Not conquest, not subjugation, but genuine partnership. Harper nodded, the observation deck's lighting reflecting off his enhanced ocular implants. When I volunteered for what seemed like a suicide mission, I hoped only to save Earth, never dreaming we would reshape the galaxy. The precursor knowledge recovered from Valhari archives had revolutionized technology across member worlds. Dr. Reyes, leading the monumental effort to analyze and ethically share information that had been weaponized and restricted for millennia. Under her guidance, technologies, once used for dominance, now drove medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration, and exploration beyond the galaxy's edge. Devarlakshmi's quantum communications network enabled instantaneous connection between previously isolated worlds, allowing cultural, scientific, and artistic exchange that enriched all participating civilizations' ideas, flowing freely across distances that had once divided and isolated developing species. Perhaps most remarkable was the transformation of the Valhari themselves, initially resistant to change, centuries of assumed superiority giving way reluctantly to a new reality where they contributed as equals rather than rulers, younger generations embracing cooperation with increasing enthusiasm as the benefits became apparent. The Alliance Charter, drafted primarily by Harper and representatives from the original 7 allied species, ensured safeguards against any future attempt at galactic domination. Its foundational principle, that diversity in biology, thought, and approach represented the true strength of civilization. Admiral Chen, now with silver hair and wisdom lines etching his face, entered the observation deck, his movements still carrying military precision. Despite his advanced years, the heroes of Earth's defense against the Valhari had gathered for a historic occasion. The ceremony commemorating the 5th anniversary of liberation brought representatives from across the galaxy to Earth's diplomatic chamber, the vast room filled with beings of incredible diversity, from crystalline Ellis to energy-based Voxed to the reptilian Daxari, all united not by force but by choice. Chen addressed the assembled dignitaries, his steady voice carrying across the chamber. Without technological enhancement, humanity ascended not through conquest, but through connection, not by forcing uniformity, but by celebrating our differences as the foundation of resilience and innovation. After the formal proceedings, as delegates mingled in cross-species conversation, a young communications technician approached Harper with urgency. "Sir, I need to report something unusual. Our deep space arrays have detected signals originating beyond the galaxy's edge patterns, suggesting artificial origin rather than natural phenomena." Harper exchanged glances with Reyes, both immediately understanding the implications. Something unknown approached galactic space. Perhaps a new challenge, perhaps an opportunity for further growth. Either way, humanity and its allies would face it together, their combined strengths greater than any individual species could achieve alone. In the 5 years since defeating the Valhari, humans had become respected throughout known space, not for military might, though their adaptive strategies had proven decisive, but for their unique approach to problem-solving, their willingness to question established systems, their ability to improvise when faced with seemingly insurmountable obstacles, and most importantly, their insistence that cooperation rather than domination created the strongest foundation for civilization. Harper studied the preliminary data from the unknown signals, his enhanced mind automatically beginning to analyze potential first contact protocols. "We should assemble a multispecies research team," he suggested to Reyes. "Approach this with collaborative methods from the beginning." Across the chamber, Ziv, now Chancellor of the Daxari Confederation, approached with the characteristic color shifting of his species indicating excitement. Humans truly are the most surprising species, he commented. I believe our ancestors would consider this outcome impossible. Not impossible, Harper corrected with a smile, just requiring a different perspective than the Valhari could imagine. As the delegates dispersed to their respective worlds carrying news of both celebration and the mysterious signals, preparation began for whatever might come next. The former enemies, now allies, the former competitors, now collaborators, each contributing unique strengths to a galactic community that had transcended ancient patterns of conquest and subjugation. Earth had indeed become the galactic superpower, not through dominance, but through connection, not by conquering aliens, but by transforming the very concept of power itself, from control over others to collaboration between equals, a revolution more profound than any military victory could achieve. The unknown signals from beyond the galaxy's edge represented the perfect challenge for this new civilization, approaching the mystery not with fear or aggression, but with collaborative curiosity, humanity's greatest contribution to galactic development. The galaxy awaited whatever came next, united and ready. The end.